The financial services industry is growing. We're not just growing in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, but we're growing nationwide. From San Diego to Denver, Virginia to Florida, we are growing. But we're not just growing with anyone. We're growing with amazing people. People like teachers, first responders, construction workers, veterans, single moms, and even couples. People who believe in creating and building generational wealth and leaving a legacy. We are also working with people that are looking to work with a company who believes in them. We're looking for part-time people or full-time people, whether you just need a little bit of extra income or you're looking for a full career transition. My question for you then is, are you who we're looking for? Let us know.
The U.S. government has given billions of dollars to businesses in an effort to curb the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. The government will begin to pursue recouping these funds in 2021. Aggressive penalties will be imposed on companies that do not follow regulations and guidelines for proper use of these funds. Criminal charges are already being levied on fraudulent use. Don't suffer again. Get a customized business operations success suite from Elite 8 Tax and Financial Services for your company today. BOSS packages include entity formation, payroll, accounting and bookkeeping, tax planning, tax filings, and quarterly strategy sessions to minimize your tax liability, increase efficiency, and maximize your profits. Make your appointment today at elite8financial.com. Get the guidance, tools, and protection your business needs now. Get BOSS. Get behind the shield.
Welcome to Boss Talk Radio. We are back. Are you guys ready for season 2? Y'all know me about the clown, right? Here we go.
Welcome to Boss Talk Radio, the #1 online business and entrepreneurial talk show. Brought to you by Elite 8 Tax and Financial Services. Here's your host, the Texas tax expert, George Dandridge.
Man, so right from the door, I want to dedicate this show to my man Clark Garrison. Rest in power. For those of you who've been following Boss Talk Radio from day one, you know he was the original engineer behind the show, and prayers for his family. Rest in power. He passed earlier this year, and you know, if it had not been for Clark, my transition into doing this thing just wouldn't have been what it was. So we really, you know, give appreciation for him and Survival Radio Network for being who they were and there for us when we got ready to launch this thing. So this show is dedicated to Clark Garrison. Now, there's some other people that I want to give a shout out to that you never see in front of the camera, and they make this thing really possible. So, in the words of one of my favorite rap lines, when Dana Dane says, well, we're going to replace Herb with my man Kern. My barber, y'all, Mr. Kern Marcel over at June Street Barber Studio. Always have my appointments set, always have the drink ready for me. I say, Kern, my man, just make me fresh, and I'm sure that I can handle all the rest. Shout out to June Street Barber Studio and those guys over there for getting us camera ready at all times. And another shout out, someone I'm super duper proud of, our director of operations, Natia Duplessis. This year, she went ahead and launched her own business venture, Destinations and Occasions. This is an event planning and travel agency. And if you guys have not seen her attention to detail, or think you haven't seen the attention to detail, let me just tell you, I do tax and not much else. So most of the stuff you see as far as scheduling, getting me somewhere on time, and all of those little nuances usually falls on her. She has a very high level of attention to detail, which makes her so good at what she does. And it's crazy because sometimes she's telling me about it, and I'm like, and you enjoy this? She's like, well, you do tax, so don't judge me. So shout out to Natia and well wishes on Destinations and Occasions. And we're also going to have two other shout outs, which one is an intricate part of the show. He'll be on later today, my man Eric Bettis with Graphic Lion Media. I get asked the question, all the time, well, who's doing your commercials? Who's doing your graphics? That's your website, blah, blah, blah. He is the man behind the scene, pulling the strings. Shout out to Eric Bettis. We'll have more on him later. He'll be on the show. And did you guys really dig that new intro? So shout out to my girl, to Kenya Battle with To Kenya Keys. I'm going to run that back one more time because, we're going to get into this thing about ownership and where that all came from in just a minute here. But, when I heard that for the first time, it really just blew my mind. So I'm going to just run it back one more time.
Welcome to Boss Talk Radio, the #1 online business and entrepreneurial talk show. Brought to you by Elite 8 Tax and Financial Services. Here's your host, the Texas tax expert, George Dandridge.
My bad. So anyway, we're back. We're going to have more from to Kenya later on, and the wonderful things that she's doing with her music studio and her online classes and everything. So if this is your first time tuning in, welcome to Boss Talk Radio, the #1 business and entrepreneur radio show online. What we do is we bring you industry leaders from across all walks of business, giving you practice tips, best practices, and just a lot of free game on how to position yourself better in your business and how to help you succeed. So BOSS is an acronym. It's the Business Operations Success Suite. You're tuned in for season 2, and we're going to go ahead and kick this thing off with my first segment we're going to do here. We're going to address the term of the week because I'm asked this question a lot. So we want to go ahead and get that dealt with right from the door. What's going on, folks? Ready for Boss Term of the Week? So somebody told me that it's HBCU week, so I had to come in and represent, and do the thing. Shout out to Southern. If you ain't a Jag, you can't brag. So term of the week. What we're going to do this week is, because I get this question all the time. People hear me speak. They hear me start talking about business, talking about taxes, things of that nature. And the first question I'm always asked is, are you a CPA? And no diss, CPAs, but I always respond with, no, my job is fun. So let's bring a little bit of clarity into what it is that I do. This week's term of the week is enrolled agent. Enrolled agents, otherwise known as EAs, are the only federally licensed tax practitioners who specialize in taxation and also have unlimited rights to represent taxpayers before the IRS. An enrolled agent is a person who has earned the privilege of representing taxpayers before the Internal Revenue Service by either passing a 3-part comprehensive IRS test covering individual and business tax returns, or through experience as a former IRS employee. Enrolled agent status is the highest credential the IRS awards. Individuals who obtain this elite status must adhere to ethical standards and complete 72 hours of continuing education over the course of every 3 years. And your boy usually do about 50 every year, so more than double the requirements. Enrolled agents have unlimited practice rights. This means they are unrestricted as to which taxpayers they can represent and what types of tax matters they can handle and which IRS offices they can represent clients before. If you want to learn more about enrolled agents, you can visit the Department of Treasury Circular 230 to learn more. This has been George Dandridge Jr., EA, your Texas tax expert. And as luck would have it, I don't know if you can hear me, but something went on with my camera here. As is bound to happen, something can go wrong. But while I'm working on that, we're going to go ahead and get you right into our new segment that we're starting with season 2, which is the Boss Tax Tip. Welcome to Boss Talk Radio. If you're just tuning in, this is a new segment that we have going on. It only makes sense. It's called Boss Tax Tips. And as a tax professional, I figure, well, why not bring that value to the show on a more consistent basis and whatnot. So today, tax tip number 1 is going to be year-end tax planning. I want you to really, really tune in right now. Because every year during the tax filing season, we get tons of calls and emails from people looking to reduce their tax liability. By that time, there are very limited legal options, to do so. So despite this desperation, rarely do they accept the need to do tax planning for the current year during that time. In other words, when you were looking at filing your taxes earlier this year, if you were in that position where you were going to owe some astronomical figure or whatever, did you spend the extra money to do tax planning to reduce your tax liability for the coming filing season, for the 2020 tax year? And I see a lot of complaints about large companies like Amazon or large corporations that didn't pay. And of course, there are those who have a tax refund as their only windfall of funding, who, despite a number of life changes, can't seem to grasp why their refund may be less than the year before. Having a tax plan is a key part of strategic wealth building. Year-end tax planning is a proactive effort to make adjustments and take actions to reduce or eliminate your tax liability. I need you to understand this is not a cookie cutter, one size fits all, this is the method to do so type of thing. Now, this is where a paradigm shift becomes necessary, because understand that this is an investment that could save you thousands of dollars annually. These are the keys to the secrets of the wealthy. They understand it's not about how much you make, it's about how much you can keep. Tactics ranging from deferring sales, making key purchases, abandoning assets, and so much more goes into a comprehensive year-end tax plan. Technical practices like these are what separate qualified financial professionals from the online incomplete information sharing kitchen table certified tax professionals. So October is the time to have a year-end tax plan done. It leaves you a couple of months to execute whatever strategy is put together without putting too much of a strain on cash flows or business fulfillment during the holidays. So if you'd like to learn more or have your own custom tax plan done, visit us at elite8financial.com/appointments. I'm going to go ahead and type that in here as fast as I can. Elite8financial.com, and just go to the appointment section. It'll allow you to choose different services and whatnot. But again, a year-end tax plan is the ability to take action now to minimize your tax liability for 2020. This has been George Dandridge. This has been your tax tip. We'll see you guys on next week. Until then, get behind the shield. Yo, I really get high off of that music. Y'all don't even understand. Hey, there was like this scene. I don't know if y'all remember this. So I'll save that for the other part of the show. But anyway, welcome to Boss Motivation. This is the cards that you're dealt, and start where you are and make the most of it, where you can. So we're in 2020. And it's funny because in ophthalmology terms, 2020 is considered perfect vision or clear vision, and for most of us, no matter who you are, there has to be some clarity that's come to you about 2020, whether it's racism in this country, whether it's clarity in your job security, clarity in your business, whatever it may be. There has to have been some things that were a paradigm shift for you in 2020. And what I want to know is, if you haven't learned anything about yourself, your why, your abilities, I propose that all your problems lie in you. here's the good news. You ain't dead yet. That means you still have time. And when you think in the concepts of time, I think about some of what 2020 has shown us. I'm pretty sure Kobe Bryant didn't think that when he boarded the helicopter, it was his last moments. I'm pretty sure when Breonna Taylor went to sleep, she didn't know that she wasn't going to wake up, again. So, time should not be taken for granted. You ain't dead yet. Oh, man, the difference a year can make. As we come up to you on this first anniversary of Boss Talk Radio, I have a lot I could complain about. I mean, I really do. There's a lot of things we have not accomplished and levels, we haven't attained. But when I look back on all we've accomplished in this 1 year, I couldn't be more proud of the work we've done. My dear friend Bernadette Harris asked a question of her tribe the other day. Shout outs to Bernadette. She just completed her first TEDx talk, which was virtual. That's just dealing with the cards you're dealt. But the question was, what have you accomplished this year that has surprised even you, that you really, didn't know you had in you or would get done? It wasn't a plan, it just happened. And I had to edit my 2-paragraph response and decide like which thing I was really going to answer with, because it's been such a phenomenal year. If you can't tell, I'm about as happy as can be. And, so I decided to use this thing that wasn't planned, but was necessary. And that was that in 2020, I spent more money on education and personal development than I had made in gross sales in my first 2 years in this business combined. When that set in, I said, wow, what a difference a year can make. And here's what I need you to understand. The hands of time will continue to turn with no consideration for what you choose to do with it. I promise you, if you set your sights on 2 or 3 things, and even if it's one thing, because you might not be ready to take, real charge of your life yet, so that may overwhelm you. If you set your sights on one thing that you want to improve, change, or manifest in your life, and give it one committed year of focus, at the end of that year, you will have blown past your own intentions. And here's the thing, though, even if it doesn't look like what you imagine at the end of that year, because we all have an idea of how things should go and, asphyxiated with, what it should look like or whatever. But even if it doesn't go that way for you, the way you saw it playing out at the end of that year, when you look back at the journey, you will absolutely be proud of how far you've come. And more likely than not, if you're a person of high integrity, you'll be able to admit that most, if not all, your shortcomings in those goals were self-inflicted, where the effort wasn't as intense as it could have been. You didn't give it your best. You didn't give it your all, so those shortcomings would be by your own doing. 1 year, focused, committed. Don't take anything into consideration that's obstacles, anything you don't have, or anything that's less than perfect. Just start moving towards those things you set your sights on without pause, and it will cause a lifestyle change. So we have an entire quarter left in 2020, and I challenge you guys to use that time to identify those goals, lay the framework, and start down that path. Every now and then, you may feel discouraged. And when you do, what you should do at that point in time is simply look at how far you've come and keep moving like a boss. So, wouldn't you know, this is the craziest thing ever. Like, I've been in the studio pre-recording all morning or whatever, and it's a good thing I did, because right as we decided to go live, there's some kind of technical issue with my camera. So for those of you that are tuning in that's watching live, I'm going to go ahead and bring our first special guest on so you don't have to get bored looking at my shield all the time. So let's see if we can get her on here. To Kenya, how you doing?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for asking. I'm over here jamming every time you drop that beat. Yes.
And you know, I've been like tweaking, like trying to hold this one back, right? Since you first gave me the sample almost a month and a half ago, I've been like, riding my car with my ringtone and everything. So for those of you that don't know, Kenya is the CEO and, as she liked to call it, chief troublemaker at Kenya's Keys Voice and Piano Studio. And here's the funniest thing is that Kenya had been working with me as her bookkeeper and tax professional for literally almost 2 years. And even 2 years before that, she would call me for different little tips and everything. And I knew she was doing the music school and the music lessons, but I had no idea that she also did these jingles and production and everything. And it just affirms what I always tell people, everything that you need will be put before you or whatever, but you just have to speak on it. So imagine my shock when I found out that she did this, and I was like, what? Can you do one for me? And she hit it out of the park, like on the first go. Like, soon as she said, she was like, well, tell me what you think. We can add, we can take away. I was like, are you kidding me? Let me go jump in my car and turn this on again. So tell everybody about yourself, Kenya.
Well, sure. Thank you, George, first of all, for having me on the Boss Talk radio show. Okay. I have been behind the shield for a couple years now as a client of yours. And I got to say, if you need someone who will tell it to you like a TI is, somebody who will text you, stay up at a Target and things like that, George is your dude. George is your go-to person for that. Okay. So I am Kenya Battle, the chief troublemaker at Kenya's Keys Voice and Piano Studio, where we provide personalized piano and vocal instruction designed to help you unleash your inner superstar, okay? And I also help music educators teach with tech. So I help music educators teach in the key of easy using today's technology. You don't have to try and keep time with today's technology. I've got solutions for you.
And then we have I love when I have modest guests on, so I'm cruising the web one day or whatever, and I stroll up on this YouTube video, and who did I see but Kenya on some international platform belting out a song, and I was like, wait a minute, that girl could sing.
Yes. Okay. So I actually work with some friends of mine whom I've never actually physically met. They live in the country of Kenya. Yes, my name is Kenya, and they are also studio owners. But since the pandemic has come, they've had to pivot their business. And so what they've started doing is they have these weekly sing-alongs where you kind of sing to the track, and then they chop and screw the video, chop and screw, Houston in the house, I guess. They chop and screw everything together so it's one seamless performance. And I've been working with them for months now. They'll just be like, hey, sing this song. I'm like, okay, but I'm an alto. I need y'all to bring it in. Bring it in, because I'm an alto. and I make it work. So that's been really fun. What else do I do? Because I don't like bragging on myself, but I say, you talking about Southern, you can't brag if you ain't a jag. Well, let this FAMU Rattler tell you we brag. This FAMU Rattler over here, we brag differently. Let me just tell you that right now. FAMU in the house. Shout out to Clark Garrison and Jerry Garrison. We want to make sure that you guys always remain comforted in your time of need and in this time of grief. So, and then that's.
I have to give an added shout to FAMU, because initially, if I had the choice, that's where I would have ended up. In fact, when I was in high school, shout out to Augustus Walker, the greatest band director that ever lived, actually a FAMU alumni, and wrote many songs and everything for them far after that or whatever, and had our compositions and arrangements such that we just could not lose or whatever. So, and back home in New Orleans, there would always be this talk about the best or whatever, but, those that didn't know equated best to loud, not to, musicality, so, but that's for another day, another show.
That's another debate for another time. But I really want to give, my respect to Florida A&M University, because that school laid the foundation for all the things that I do music-wise today. If it wasn't for the music department at this HBCU, I attended on a full academic scholarship. If it wasn't for what I learned there, and I still remain connected to my professors today, there are songs that I have written 20 plus years ago that are still sung there and performed there today. So I leave a legacy in music at Florida A&M University, and you're in the DFW area. I leave a legacy of music there as well. Some of you may know the saxophonist Don Diego and the Razz Band.
Yes. Right. Shout out to Don Diego.
And shout out to Don. I used to do some of the radio ads for Don, and I used to sing with Don Diego and the Razz Band. So I'm from Dallas. I'm Oak Cliff all day. That's my hood. Some of y'all know what I'm talking about, but I'm not going to finish that phrase. But music has been a long-standing part of my life, to the point where even my children, I've named them after musicians. I got one over here in the corner because, we're learning together.
That girl multitasking over there.
There's Miles. And then I also have a daughter named Ella and a son named Ellington Langston. So all my children are named for musicians, but nobody plays a doggone thing.
So I know this question is coming up, so let me just tell y'all how geeked I am and how this thing went down. I hate that y'all can't see the excitement that I have right now. Kenya had already witnessed this a number of times. She'd be like, George, kind of calm down a bit. So for those of you that are old enough, there was this movie back in the mid or late 80s called I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker. And so this is what happened. There's a scene in the movie where the OG has like this band behind him, and Keenan Ivory Wayans, I could be wrong, but I think this was Keenan's first movie. I'm not sure. But Keenan Ivory Wayans is in the movie, and he asked the OG, he's like, well, who are these guys? And he's like, oh, this is my theme music. Every hero should have some. And fast forward, by the time we get to the end of the movie, they're meeting up again for whatever reason, and you have Boogie Down Productions, in their leather MCM jackets and everything. Dude has 2 turntables strapped around his neck like it's a drum or something. And I was like, yeah, there you go. Let me see if I can get that out there.
Hey, Jack. All right.
She found it.
Yeah. Just say word. Let me go ahead and play on that for you. Here it is. I know the scene you're talking about.
Hey, Jack. All right. You got the stuff?
Yeah. All cleaned and oil.
Oh, yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. Let's get it on.
Who are these?
It's my theme music. Every good hero should have some.
Oh man.
I love it. So if you know that movie, and by the end you had Jack Spade come along with Boogie Down Productions and basically repeat the same line. He's like, "Yeah, this is my theme music. Every hero should have some." So today I want y'all to know that I'm feeling something like a hero because thanks to Kenya, affectionately known around our office as Tea Cakes, she has laid down our own theme music, and I mean, I have it set on everything, and I know you guys are going to ask, so go ahead and tell them how they can reach out to you and get some theme music of their own and or voiceovers and all of these other wonderful things that you do.
Well, thank you, George. That song requires, I need to see you shimmy or stroll. I need you to put something with that. Y'all got to see George when he does his thing every time that song drops. But you guys can find me at kenyaskeys.com across all social media platforms, and that's Kenya's Keys on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. All your regular social media platform. There you go. Bing, bam, boom. kenyaskeys.com is where you guys can find me. If you're an entrepreneur, if you're a business that needs your own beat, I will match music to your spirit. And that's really what I do. I was like, does this sound like George? Yes, no, maybe. This sounds like George. George got George's music. George has his own theme song, customized, completely personalized. Nobody else has this music. Why? Because I wrote it. Everything you hear was something that I created. And that's what I can do for you in your business.
And the most beautiful part about that for me, because this is always a question. So let me tell y'all another part about how this came about, right? I hope y'all can hear me because I know you can't see me. But so here's how this thing came about. Today marks the 1-year anniversary of Boss Talk Radio and the launch of season 2. And, initially when we started out, we were on Survival Radio Network. And our engineer, Clark Garrison, took ill. And it just so happened, when I say, you always have what you need when you put yourself out there, it just so happened one of my colleagues, Kamari Ellis, shout out to the Philly tax team. Kamari was scheduled to come on the show. And right before that, I had witnessed one of his shows. And I was like, hey, Kamari, what's this software that you're using or whatever? And so he tells me about it because I had been struggling. Hey, look, Kamari's in the building. I had been struggling with how to, get this thing on Facebook and everything else at the same time. So Kamari put me up on game. And if you haven't checked him out, he has a couple of different podcasts that he do. He's like the content king. I don't even know how he does it, but check him out on YouTube. But, what ends up happening is I get, this software that allows me to do the stream live thing or whatever. And it was just like going down. And lo and behold, YouTube kept sending me these notifications. And the notifications kept saying that I couldn't monetize my show because of a copyright claim. Mm-hmm. And so what it was, I had been using for those of you that's old enough to know James Brown's song, The Boss, I was using that. And then some of you may know the rapper Nas had sampled it in a song later or whatever. And I started using that. And that's when Eric, attached it to the video, got my graphics going. I'm like, yeah. But they kept saying, well, it's a copyright claim, so they would only allow certain parts to be seen and everything. So it was kind of frustrating. So it was a godsend when I found out that one of my very own clients could produce this music for me that nobody else can claim and send me, she gave me copyright to it and everything. I was so geeked, y'all have no idea, So once again, to Kenya Battle, everybody, the chief troublemaker over at Kenya Keys. And I'm just going, hey, I kind of like this thing, so you already know I'm about to go ahead and run it again just because.
Welcome to Boss Talk Radio, the #1 online business and entrepreneurial talk show. Brought to you by Elite 8 Tax and Financial Services. Here's your host, the Texas tax expert, George Dandridge.
It's probably a good thing that I'm having whatever this issue is with my camera. And it's funny because I've been pre-recording different segments all morning or whatever, and it waits till we got ready to go live, and it just won't connect for whatever reason. But it's probably a good thing because every time that beat drop, I just kind of lose my mind just a little bit,
It's hot. That is definitely hot.
It's on fire. And so now I want to bring to Boss Talk Radio somebody that's been with us since day one. And I don't think there's a week that goes by that I don't send this guy's number out twice. And I'm going to tell y'all something, hey, right from the door, I want one or two things to happen. I either want him to get rich enough that I can't afford him and I got to find somebody else, or the best case scenario, I get rich enough that he can't work for anybody else. So the man that's been behind the scenes for quite some time now, Mr. Eric Bettis. How you doing today, sir?
Hey, what's happening, y'all? What's going on today?
What's going on?
Hey.
So this is what y'all don't know. I do tax. I don't do tech. This guy is something like a genius. And here's what's funny about Eric. I think it was 2014. That's how long we've been working together. And here was the funny part. One of my staff members had, referred him for business cards of all things, right? So I have no idea what all he does. I just was like, hey, what's up on some business cards? His price at the time beat Vistaprint, and we were able to work together because he understands that I don't understand what it is he does. So anyway, long story short, I have been working with another graphic designer, and for whatever reason, she stalled out on 3 weeks with some work I had given her, and my deadline was coming up, and there was an attempt to charge me a rush fee at the last minute. And so I called up Eric, I didn't even know he did this. I was like, hey, by any chance, do you know a graphic designer? He was like, I do that. It was like, oh, really? And he got this project turned around for me in less than 24 hours at half the cost that I had already paid. To the point I was so satisfied, I didn't even bother to try to get my money back from the other person. I was just like, you know what? I'm going to charge it to the game. That's the cost of me not doing business with you anymore or whatever. So anyway, so this is 2014, right? And then here's what happens. Every now and then I would need something new. And I'd call Eric to find out if he happened, because he, had been in Dallas. So I was like, he's connected. He may know someone. And every time I call him, he'd say, well, yeah, I do that. So Eric, tell everybody, and here's what y'all want to see, the most modest man in media. He's like, hey, don't ask me no hard questions. I'm tired. I've been working all night.
I'm running on fumes right now. So yeah.
I'm like, yeah, no, we gonna get it in today. So let's go right to this first part that I'm gonna have to push you with, and tell us what all it is that you do.
Okay, so I'm the owner of Graphic Line Media and GLM Printing and Ninja Host, a web hosting company. So I do everything, just about everything in graphic design, everything in printing, video production, video editing, video recording, photography, um, print T-shirts and all that good stuff. Do promotional items, host your website, do web development. I think that's it. I think I might do more than that, but I
Wearing
don't
all
know.
the hats.
Yeah, and it's get hectic around here too. Woo-wee.
So
My
that's
phone
why
right
I
now
was
blowing
like,
up.
that's why I was like, I gotta make enough money to make it where he can't work for anybody else. Cause I'm gonna go ahead and say it shows my unselfish nature how much I give out your name and number or whatever. But Eric has been an instrumental part of my business imprint. When I say get behind the shield, and there's nothing cooler than when I show up at different events and I'm wearing a t-shirt that he printed for me, or I'm sending out my clients cards and bottles and things of this nature every year, all my client appreciation gifts, and people just start to recognize the brand. And so he's been really easy to work with because all the stuff he does online and everything, he doesn't bother me with trying to understand it. He makes the extra effort to try to figure out what the hell I'm talking about or whatever, and just makes it happen. We have a question on here, so I'm going to get that information and go ahead and type it in. Somebody wants to know, what is the web address for web hosting?
Oh, so web hosting, this ninjahost.com, NINJIHOST.com. Yep.
So for those of you needing hosting on your website and whatnot, that is the web address. And Eric has probably like 4 different websites because there's also GLM printing, and this is where you get your t-shirts, business cards, flyers, all of this great stuff or whatever.
So you don't have to call me. You can just go online, get your pricing. If you find something that's not on there, then you can call me.
And what is that website, Eric?
GLMprinting.com.
GLMprinting.com. We're going to throw that up there on the screen. And, I get asked this question a lot, so I'm going to give you guys just a sample here of some of the work that Eric does, because when I say the most modest man in media, here he is producing all of my commercials and everything, and I've been asking him for a commercial of his own for like 6 months, and
I'm almost done with it.
He gives me like this thing like he put together, and I'm impressed. And then I realize, well, if somebody's not watching the live feed, they don't know what's going on if they're listening on one of the podcast stations or whatever. So I'm gonna need a commercial that says who you are. But this is just an example of some of the work that Eric does. Just phenomenal. And any of the commercials you guys have seen me use on Boss Talk Radio, Facebook, or anywhere else, he is my go-to guy. So be sure to reach out. And what's really, really cool about this is, how did we not get you guys working together much sooner. Like,
Right.
Because Eric always has to go out and like search for stuff, for George. Because I apologize, publicly, because I know I'm a very demanding client or whatever,
No.
No,
I don't know what you mean.
no.
What do you
But
mean?
the devil's in the details, and I appreciate you guys doing what it is that you do. We're going to take a quick commercial break, be back with Takenya and Eric, and also we're going to bring up another person that's been instrumental in the success of my business for 2020. And I think before we get into him, we're also going to do the 5 minutes of fire, because we're going to talk about this janky business y'all doing or whatever. So y'all know I couldn't let it go without getting into that one. So we'll be back right after this.
You a business owner struggling with wearing every hat from custodian to comptroller? Do you know all the local, state, and federal tax reports you have to file and when? Is your business positioned to leverage credit? You're best at what you do when you're doing what you were designed to do. At Elite 8 Tax and Financial Services, we're designed to support your business from conception to succession. Let us optimize your business for the best tax advantages, payroll, accounting, and even virtual CFO services. Our Business Operations Success Suite is tailored to your business to meet you where you are and help you grow by freeing you of the tedious back office requirements. See how we can customize a plan for you at www.elite8financial.com or call us at 469-412-0056. Get balls. Get behind the shield.
And we are back. And Eric told me not to ask him any hard questions, but I understand what Takenya does, because I was playing drums before I knew my alphabet or whatever. So I understand those gifts and everything. And, what she does in her success today is, evident by her just embracing those gifts and keeping it going. But I have a question for you, Eric.
What you got? What you got?
Why do you know all of this stuff? Like, I know photographers, I know graphic designers, I know people that do some videos, some people that do. How did you fit all of this stuff inside of, one brain in one lifetime and get so good at it at the same time?
I have no earthly idea. All I can say is God put that in me. I don't know why it came, where it came from. So, yeah, I don't know.
So were you that kid that used to like take stuff apart just to figure out how it works?
No, I actually wasn't. My brother was that. My brother does that, but not me. Not me. That was not me at all. So I honestly don't know. I mean, my natural gift automatically for me is drawing, painting, art, stuff like that. That's where I started. And then just one day in high school, I saw a Mac computer and they had this program called Paint. And after that, I was hooked. I was gonna go to North Texas to be a traditional artist, but after I got on that Macintosh computer, that changed my whole perspective on everything, and I just started from there.
Well, we look forward to being able to continue to give you a large part of our disposable income for our advertising and creative budget or whatever. But we'll need you to open up I wouldn't say a school, but like a workshop a couple times a year, so you can hire 10, 15 people so I can have you back to myself.
Yeah, I'm actually working on that for real though. I'm actually working on that.
Why am I not surprised? So the most modest man in media also forgot to tell you that he also does publishing.
Oh yeah, I do. I forgot about that. I sure did. Yeah, I've published several books for people, couple of cookbooks, coloring books, adult coloring books, um, all kinds of books. Yeah, I'm self-published too, twice. So yeah.
Yeah, I need some hard copies of my books. So yeah, look here, I'm about to blow it up over the weekend. Okay, just letting you know already.
I love it when the cooperative efforts come together or whatever. So again, thank you guys for being such an intricate part of what we do. And to Kenya, thank you again for my personalized theme music. Like it almost makes me y'all may not be this old. I apologize for those that don't understand, but once upon a time there was these huge radios with like dual cassette decks that took like 12 D batteries. Yeah,
Radio
man.
rocking.
Like I really want to go and get one and walk down the block with my music playing, just bust up in Walmart with it
Radio
going down.
Rocky.
You know, but so we have to address some stuff. We're gonna bring up my man Trey Rush and let him tell you about what he's doing, and I'm gonna tell you how it's impacted my business from a convenience standpoint. But before we can get into that, I'm gonna have to give y'all this work with you people out here with the janky business and everything. So here goes that 5 minutes of fire. Let's get it. So welcome to the segment of the show we call 5 Minutes of Fire, that unapologetically part where we just tell you how it is and what it should be. And hopefully it lights a fire up under you. So today we're going to talk a little bit about business during the COVID, during the pandemic, you know. So I want to start off with this question. I want to know, what has COVID taught you about business, specifically your business? Are you still hanging in there? You know, it's been tough out here. Are you one of the people, one of the businesses that's like really blossoming and thriving during this time? Or have you had to fold, you know? And that's not a condemnation if that's what was necessary, because, you know, a lot of sectors of government in different cities, different states, you know, have closed down businesses, you know, by no, you know, will of their own or whatever. So you may be one of those businesses. And if so, are you planning a comeback? You know, but you may be one of those people who you've birthed your business during this pandemic. And if you're one of those people, hats off to you for your bravery, your courage, making that life change and eliminating excuses and just jumping off the porch, you know. And this segment, though, is about those of you who have been in business, you know, that's been half-assing and shortcutting doing business. So right now, we're 6 months into this thing, you know, 6 months into the pandemic. And I think back just over 5 months ago where like my calendar lit up. All the phones was ringing off the hook, and you know, we were just inundated with like new prospects or whatever. And that sounds like a good thing, right? Yeah, no, because people were being somewhat, you know, unrealistic. You know, it was people who had been hearing my voice, and this was the reason they were reaching out, is because I had talked about these things pretty much since day one. I mean, BOSS is an acronym. It's the Business Operations Success Suite. And the program, the radio show, just developed out of that. But this is individualized product to help people, really have their businesses operate correctly and in compliance or whatever. So what happened was, these people had been hearing my voice, but had elected not to take heed to my words. And so, 5 months ago, the government started just handing out billions of dollars with really like the most lax requirements in history of business funding. Like, it was just unreal, the minimal amount of requirements that were necessary to get business funding, right? And so everybody wanted in, and they're scrambling, to get in their applications. But some lenders had the audacity to want documentation. Can you believe that? They actually wanted all kinds of crazy records like prior tax returns and first quarter profit and loss and payroll documentation, all this stuff you're supposed to have if you're in business. And so the phone is like blowing up. We're getting these calls from these so-called business owners, who they want these types of documents produced in a week or so they can take advantage of the funding, because people are lining up, the applications were backlogged. It was really, really kind of a crazy time, because even when they was like, hey, we ran out of money or whatever, we're like, hey, apply anyway, and sure enough, they tightened the screws a little bit and said, okay, well, we want to make sure the right businesses get this money and everything. And what ended up happening was a new wave was kind of released, and people that had kind of threw their hands up in the air come running back like, hey, I need this documentation or whatever. And the even more ludicrous part, people wanted this stuff turned around in a week or so, which is not something we do under normal circumstances, much less with the pandemic going on or whatever, this inundation of calls. But these people had like no records, nothing to build from, nothing to, produce the type of documentation that they were seeking or whatever. They had no records of anything other than social media posts. The ones that say they can show you how to make $30,000 a month, but they don't have a profit and loss statement. You haven't filed taxes on your business in 3, 4, 5 years. Really? So obviously we couldn't help these people, right? And here's the crazy part, though. Because we couldn't help them create fictitious records, they didn't engage us to start getting their business, together, even though there had been talk of a second wave of funding. And so here's the question I have for you. If there was a second wave of funding announced today, let's say they were going to start taking applications on Monday, is your business ready? Understand, if there's a second wave, there will be way more scrutiny and qualifiers, but it is nothing short of a damn shame that so many of you who claim to be doing business didn't have so many of the most basic things that is essential to helping you navigate in business, essential to helping you make data-driven decisions. Stop half-assing. I always say every book tells a story. What does your company book say about your business? Get your business legitimate. Get your operations in order. Get boss. Get behind the shield. This has been 5 Minutes of Fire. I hope we lit a fire under your ass. See you next week. Yeah, I don't know if that's ever really gonna wear off, on me or whatever. Like that music just gets to me. So in lieu of you not being able to see me here, I'm gonna go ahead and add everybody back to the screen, and we're gonna welcome aboard right now, Mr. Trey Rush. How you doing, Trey? Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you. Can you guys hear me?
Yay, Trey.
Sure. How you doing
Sweet.
today?
Man, I'm blessed. Absolutely blessed. I appreciate you having me.
So, one of these things that I want to address, this is just a philosophy I have in business, and I think it should be everybody's philosophy, which is do not make it hard for people to pay you.
Right.
So, tell a little story. Earlier this year, I had an event, and I had one of the vendors there that provided service. They didn't provide a invoice or anything prior to, and it was like a sense of urgency for me. Like, I want to get everybody paid. Let me get you paid. Let me get you paid. And so we have the event. The event is on a Saturday or whatever. It goes well. And afterwards, a few of us go out to celebrate. And anybody that knows me knows that my celebration is absolutely 100% 504 dedicated. Uh, I'm a New Orleans boy, let me tell you. So, needless to say, the next morning, well, let's just be honest, I didn't see the next morning. It was the afternoon. The next afternoon, I get a text message saying like, "Hey, let's what time do you want to meet up? So I can get paid." I'm like, "Wait, what? It's Sunday. Like, what's your PayPal?" Like, "Yeah, no, I don't have PayPal." "You don't have PayPal? Well, what's your Zelle?" Like, "No, I don't have Zelle." "What's your Cash App?" "No, I don't do any form of electronic payment." Whoa, okay. Well, can you take my card, or like, no, I don't have a payment processor. I'm like, okay, well, here's the challenge. You would have to get a check because I don't do cash in business. The problem with that is that the only bank that I have checks for, I have to go to another bank to, withdraw money and then deposit into there. And it's Sunday.
Like, why are you making it hard for me to help you, help
You
me,
know?
help you, help me?
He's like, "Well, so you want to meet at 6?" And I'm like, "No, you don't understand. It's Sunday. I cannot help you because you take no forms of electronic payments, and I don't have a check to give to you today on Sunday. All I could do is meet you in the morning at the bank when it opens. That's the best I could do, or whatever." So we go ahead and we were just left without choices. And I thought to myself, like, after that, as I'm walking away, like, it's 2020, and you say that you are in business and you only have two ways of getting paid, and that's cash or check. That is so 1981. Like, who does that?
Wow.
So, Trey, tell us a little bit about what you do and why everybody needs to know who you are.
So I specialize in operating cost reducing the cost to operate and do business so you can make money and spend less money to do so. I started out, I started out in the health and fitness industry, did that for a long time, got out. A friend of mine um, referred me to a major processing company that I knew nothing about or anything about the industry. And they brought me on as a mid-level manager because of my experience, and learned all about the industry, the ins, the outs, the few goods, the mostly bads. And, did that for a while. And I learned that the industry as a whole can be very, very shady, very, very shady. And it's funny you said janky business. Man, it isn't just the small business owners; it's a lot of the big ones too. That I learned, and I thought, man, like, if there was a company out there that actually really cared about their clients and their customers, and they could probably do pretty well. It was all about getting the next deal, and they couldn't have cared less about keeping the clients. And in the business world, I'm in the client retention business. It's all about keeping my current clients happy and helping them make more money, because the better they do, the better I do. But the short version is I help small business owners with their payment processing needs, anything related to taking a payment electronically, I do. And I do a number of other things as well, but the two things that I really want to highlight is the payment processing and their energy cost. I got into energy a couple of years ago as an avenue just to help more business owners. Again, just another way that I could help them spend less money operating a small business, because it's not exactly an easy thing to do, and it's been awesome. And since COVID hit, I had the same concerns that everyone else had, like, hey, what's this going to do to my business? And I've been blessed that small business owners are much more willing to have these conversations than they were before. Hey, anything that they can do to save money, and of course I'm all about that. And energy, the cost has gone way down, and not to make light of other people's situations, because it's terrible that so many small business owners are going under right now and are struggling. But the freed up commercial real estate space is created this awesome opportunity as far as reducing energy cost. The demand is way down, so energy especially is cheaper than I've ever seen it. And I'm seeing some of my clients that they're good for another 2-3 years on their contract, calling me to renew past that, just because the rates are so cheap. So anybody that has a brick and mortar business that gets an electric bill, I can take a look at it and probably shave quite a bit off of that. If you take a payment especially, I can definitely shave a lot off of that, typically 90 to 95%. I do cash discounting, I do traditional processing, I do online invoicing, you name it, I pretty much do it. So that's the short version.
So here's like the thing. I'm always looking to help save people money, and also to improve efficiency. So one of the things that you helped me do this year, because I am a client of Trey's, and I had, again, the philosophy is don't make it hard for anyone to pay you. And so I had just about every type of payment processing available or whatever. And the challenge was, it would absorb too much of my time trying to consolidate reports, bring things together, things of this nature. And so what he was able to do for me was, in addition to, and this was the most beautiful part, like when I was able to just like process cards myself, not just send out an invoice and be at the mercy of whenever I'm going to get it. That was great. That improved cash flow dramatically. So that was thing number one. It helped me improve cash flow because I was able to regulate payments. The next thing that happened, and how this even came about, some of my clients are very, very busy, and they just don't have time to get around to logging on and making payment and this and that and the third. So the other thing that was essential that it helped me do was to schedule ACH payments that were just automatically deducted for my clients. And they thanked me. They're like, oh God, I'm so glad I don't have to keep doing it every month. So it's also a convenience for your clients. But then here was that last part that it did, was that it gave me the ability to have cost control, because I had all of these different, for lack of better words, ways to pay, all of these methodologies to accept payments. But the fees from place to place like varied. Like there was no
Yes.
consistent. Over here I'm paying 4.25, over here it's 3.8, over here it's 2.9. It's like, so there was that much more involved in creating an invoice to make sure that I wasn't just hemorrhaging the cost of fees. And the crazy part about it, like, this is one of the things that some people disagree on in business. Some people feel like, well, you shouldn't pass on processing charges to your clients. You should charge enough that is built in. Well, here's the problem with that, or whatever. I kind of agree with it, but in today's, day and time, people are really used to it. Number one, it's kind of like wearing masks. You may not want to do it, but you realize in order to walk your ass in the grocery store, this is what you're going to have to do, So the other part is it makes it easier for me to be able to quickly quote prices based on my services without rounding up to the next 100, because let's be honest, if I send you a $2,500 invoice or whatever, and I'm trying to figure out the fees on that or whatever, and, just quote you an exact price, is like, I probably need to just round that up or whatever. And it makes it sound higher than it is, when most people will just accept, hey, this is the cost, and this is essentially a convenience charge for me being able to pay it this way versus driving up to McKinney, Texas, and bringing a check or
Not
whatever.
happening.
So that's what's been really cool about it for me. And then lastly, I get that snapshot at the end of the month, where even though I am the bookkeeper for so many people, I don't have to chase and consolidate reports. The number of the amount of hours it saved me, month to month, is beneficial, because that's another client I can take on, and then there was integration. Like, I'm still in the process of integrating this into all of my different websites and everything, where people are able to pay online. It's like the service is more robust than I was even conditioned for, which is cool, because it's like, as I'm getting things up to speed and working with Eric behind the scenes, it's like the systems are there, in place for me to add on or whatever. So if you guys do not have a dedicated payment processor right now, I encourage you to reach out to Trey. And now here's the part where y'all know that I do this. I make my guests a little uncomfortable. Before I do that, Trey, how does everybody reach out to you?
So you can call me directly. I have links on Facebook, LinkedIn. I'm in the process of building out my website. I was primarily just doing payments, but since I've branched out to include a multitude of other services, I'm going to be rebranding and adding that, to my repertoire, I guess you would say. But my business line is 469-850-2308. You can call anytime.
Hey, hold on, Trey. I've been out of school for a while. I don't type that fast. 469
850
uh-huh
2308.
Okay, we're going to throw that up on the screen. So if you guys need to reach out to Trey. So here's the part where I'm going to make Trey a little bit uncomfortable, because he's doing the whole PC, politically correct. I'm not going to piss on anybody or anything, but I guess he just knew when he saw me, like, here's a guy that just don't want no sugar or whatever. He just want the hard, truth or whatever. So let's go ahead and educate our business owners on why they should not use all these P2P in their business, because I've been telling them since before I even had you, and I want them to hear it from the authority.
Oh, I hope my peers, my industry peers are listening. I'm sending them this. Get it, Trey. Go ahead.
Man, it's funny that I can use this as an outlet to be uncensored, I guess you would say, as it were. You know what I mean? It's like you said, the janky business. Man, how am I supposed to believe that you could perform a service as a professional and then you want me to Zelle you? Come on, man. Come on. I'm just saying, that you go to any brick and mortar, any professional business has any sort of reputation whatsoever, you're going to have to take a card or you're going to have to pay cash. That's just how it is. So, but beyond that, beyond your reputation and beyond adding validity to your business, there's actual costs these days. I can post article after article of Square, the big beast that is Square, is holding, because of COVID. Man, I get calls all the time. That's my biggest source of new prospects these days, is people saying, hey, Square's holding half of my money, 30 to 50% of my money in a reserve, because I guess their risk has gone up or their exposure has gone up. And now they have to wait 6 weeks just to get their money. So, and trust me, they don't send you an email ahead of time letting you know this is going to happen. You look at your bank account and you notice you're very short, and that's how it happens. PayPal, same thing. PayPal, Square. There's been articles in Forbes, New York Times, of Square holding a lot of people's money, or just holding the entire thing in reserves. You get a charge back. There's all sorts of reasons, but those are the main two. If you like your money, and if you like to get paid for your hard work, I'd go with a reputable company that can put it in there the very next morning. And if there is an issue, actually have a human being that you can call and talk to when that does happen. And just to kind of touch on something, that you said earlier, the ethics or morality factor of cash discounting, because that's the popular term for the program of passing it along. Surcharging and cash discounting are very, very similar, but a little bit different in how it's executed and the verbiage that you use. So everyone, every new business owner that I talk to, it's the same conversation over and over and over. There's only one objection. One. No more, no less. One. It's going to upset my customers. They're going to get upset. I don't want them to feel like I'm charging them more. Man, they're paying all your bills anyway. If they pay for your service, they're paying your electric bill, they're paying your payroll, your customers are paying all your bills. Okay, so it's not a secret. It's nothing new, right? And the price that they're paying now is not the price they're going to pay 3 years from now or 4 years from now. Your costs are going to go up. The cost of business goes up over time. So increasing your price of goods or services is just a norm in business in general. And people focus too much on the fact that, I'm charging a little bit more to cover my costs. Yeah, but you're also offering a discount and a way for them to pay less. I ask business owners the same thing. Do you really think that the customer is going to be more upset of you increasing your price across the board, which is what you have been doing for the last 20 years, or only increasing just to take cards and giving them that option to still pay cash or check, which none of them are going to take, by the way. The same amount of people that pay with card today is the same amount of people that will pay with card after the program's been implemented. Statistically speaking, it is the exact same. And statistically speaking, revenue does not go down. Customer complaints do not go up. And in fact, it actually creates more opportunities for customers to feel like they're better taken care of. They walk into your business, or, you hit them with hey, this is my cash price. You need me to do this. It's going to be $100. That's my cash price. It includes a 3 or 3.5% cash discount. If you want to pay with card, that's fine. Payments are welcome, but just understand I'm going to adjust that when I check you out. Okay. So that 100 becomes 103.50. And it's as simple as that. But yeah, the whole Zelle thing, the Cash App thing, man, I don't trust those things. Even if I didn't do what I do, I wouldn't trust those things. So hopefully that hits the mark.
And I saw, even this year, I had two experiences, both of which were new to me. I purchased something online, and I had always believed that when purchasing something online, even though I'm using my card, I would be better served going through PayPal if I didn't know the whoever I was buying from or whatever. And so, lo and behold, this year, somewhere around March 13th, I made a purchase online and had no idea that who I was purchasing from was in China. Um, and but I paid through PayPal. So I get a nice quick email saying, "Hey, your order's been processed." Then I get an email saying, "Hey, your order's been shipped." So lo and behold, we're in the middle of the tax season at this point in time, and I kind of forget about it. Plus there was the COVID thing and people wanting to apply for business funding and all. I like really forgot about it. So it's late May, and I realized that I put on some COVID weight, and it made me remember, hey, I made this order for this exercise stuff or whatever. Let me look into it. And so, I send the company an email because there's no phone number. I couldn't get in touch with them or whatever. I send an email to their customer service, and about 4 days later, they respond saying that my order had been shipped, that it had arrived, and to check with my local post office. And they give me this tracking number that is not a USPS tracking number or whatever. Long story short, I spend the next 2 months, month and a half, going back and forth with them about me not having the product. And eventually I'm like, okay, you know what? Give me my money back, And so I filed a claim with PayPal, and here we are, pert near October. And I just got an email last night after constant follow up. I just got an email last night from PayPal saying that the claim has been resolved in my favor and funds will be returned to me soon, which is not exactly a date I can't spend soon, but it's like, wow, this has been, 6 months. This has been the extent of, since COVID has been going on, that I've been waiting for either this product or this money, and what I believed was a consumer protection thing in place with PayPal just didn't happen. Then there was another instance where I hired someone to do some contracting work, and they sent me an invoice through PayPal, which was good because it was a business expense. And so I pay it, and the guy calls me late at night, and he's like, "Hey, I need you to go in and do this, that, and the third so they can release payment." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" I had never heard of this before. So apparently PayPal had put something in place where you have to acknowledge that either work has been completed or product had been received or whatever the case may be before they would release the funds. And I was like, huh. And to speak to what you said earlier, I'm thinking, well, it sounds like, because it's really crazy. I always say this even about big companies that are not processors. It's crazy how quick they can take money out of account, but how ridiculously slow it is with giving money back or refunding money back. So this guy did a project for me. It required, a deposit at the beginning, final payment at the end, and in both instances, I had to authorize the payment after the payment had been made, and it took even longer because there was some step we could collectively find in the application, and he couldn't get anybody on the phone, to help him out, which, I told him then, I was like, "Hey, you need to call Trey," so The crazy thing about that is I've had examples where on the flip side, by dealing with you myself, where hey, I can't find something in the app, and I can shoot you a text or an email or whatever. And I think the longest it's ever taken you to get back to me was maybe 2 or 3 hours, which at that point, it wasn't a like urgent situation, which was pretty fast. And just to correct that, that was how long it took you to call me. You sent me a text saying you would call me in about 15 minutes, So then Takia, who was just on here earlier, she has monthly fees with me. So when I asked her about the costs for producing our music, she's like, hey, just refund us a month, for your services or whatever. And it didn't take days to like do that. I was able to reverse the charge and she had it the next day. I was like, what's going on here? Why can't these big companies return my money as fast? So there's this theory also, and I get a lot of people caught up in this, that somehow they believe like the logic that people are using is that they're using these P2P processors to, one, avoid fees, and two, they somehow think that they are operating under the radar by doing so. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, it's crazy. And the thing about it is that these P2Ps, a lot of them are not FDIC insured. So the reality is hey, look, this is COVID. Nothing is for sure anymore. You've seen a lot of big companies go under. I mean, technically speaking, if they were to bite the big one, there's no government backing saying that you're still going to get your money. So just throwing that out there. It's just not a good idea. And I really wanted to hit on a point that you were saying earlier, but my ADD kicked in and I forgot already. But anyways, it'll come back to me.
So we have people that are doing this, and then one of the things that I find challenging is that when it's time to have their taxes done for their business, they can't seem to get clear, clean records from these places such as PayPal, etc. I think that there is a Square for Business type of thing that actually does a lot of the reporting that helps with inventory, but I saw the cost on that thing and it was like, wow, y'all are paying what? So in your experience in this industry, in the processing industry, my question is the same as what happens in my industry. How does the products that's not really good for people and good for their business tend to gain the most popularity?
Well, okay. That's a twofold answer, and it kind of goes back to like something you said three points ago. But business owners that I've noticed, and this is going to shock you. You've never heard this before, but you're hearing it now. Not all business owners are good at running their business. I know. I'll give you a minute to process that. I'm gonna give that a second to soak in and marinate.
I always tell people just because you're a good cook doesn't mean you need to open the restaurant.
So look, and I run into that every day. And the craziest part is the worst ones are the ones you'd least expect. Doctors, for example. Doctors and lawyers. You want to talk to somebody that's terrible at running a business? Talk to a doctor. You want to save my life? You're my man. But as far as running the books and, the day-to-day operations, they have somebody that does all that for them. And if one of those people is sick that day, it just doesn't happen. Whatever was going to happen doesn't happen. So these small business owners, let's just stick with that example, the doctor, right? This guy's making $400 an hour as a doctor. Okay. He is treating 25, 30 patients a day as a general physician. Okay. That's what his main concern is, and rightfully so, right? Keeping people healthy, keeping people alive. That doesn't mean that the guy wants to put, $3,000 a month in a trash can and set it on fire either, though. But that's where the problem is. You walk into a doctor's office, you see the front desk receptionist getting paid 12, 13 bucks an hour to do her job. Then you have the office manager behind her. Her job is to keep the office running smoothly, but it's not to keep the business making money. Okay. It's to keep patient flow smooth. Okay. And then above him or her, you have the doctor, and his job is to keep people healthy. Well, there's nobody in between. There's nobody saying, hey, we're spending too much on this. We need to add this. That person doesn't really exist in that situation. And then you have, let's say Bob's mechanic, Bob's Auto, right? You got Bob, who's a mechanic himself, turning wrenches, slinging tires. He's got 1 or 2 employees and his wife running the office, okay? And she's on the phone all day and dealing with him. Do you really think that business is running just silky smooth? Absolutely not. So these things fall on the wayside. And what happens a lot of times is you get a salesperson. And in my industry, it's something that, again, I want to go into the second part of the answer. 99.95% of the people that you talk to that do what I do are salespeople. And I'm not trying to shed any negativity on that. But the reality is that he's got a boss that's telling this person to go out and get another deal, go out and get another deal. Their job is to sell. It's not to service. It is to sell, get the deal, ink the deal, move on to the next one, right? And even if, and this is a very big if in my world, if it was a good deal to begin with, again, big if, what happens is that over the next 6 months, 3 months, even 1 month, those rates and fees creep up, okay? And, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, a little bit before my time, when you would get a merchant statement, it would be fairly clear and obvious to read. It'd be like a bank statement. Well, then about 10 years ago, these processors started figuring out that, hey, if we can make these really confusing and written like in Greek almost, people won't understand what they're paying. And they're so busy, they just forget about it. They just don't worry about it. And it worked. It worked well. It didn't help the reputation of the industry, but they sure made a lot of money, right? And that's all they're worried about. And then about 4 years ago, they got this genius idea. Well, what if we just didn't send them statements at all, right? Let's go green. We're going to go green. We're going to be healthy for the environment, protect the environment, save a few trees, and not send statements anymore. So now I talk to business owners that haven't looked at their rates in years and truly don't have a clue as to what they're paying. So I know that's a long-winded answer, to your question, but, the reason why they are the most prevalent is because all these companies, their dollars goes purely into marketing, purely into sales, and very little into service. That's the sad reality. Me as an independent, I own my own business. I run it just like George, you run yours, just like anyone that's probably going to be listening runs theirs. I rely on repeat business every single month, just like everyone else. You get unhappy and I don't fix the problem, you're going to go somewhere else. And that's just kind of the capitalist way that it should be. But these processors, they have you signing 5-year contracts they don't tell you about. And here's the crazy part. This is the topper, okay? It is a completely unregulated industry. No regulation.
Wow.
If I walk into a business and flat out lie to them, who are you going to call? There's no board. There's no bar association. There's no OSHA. There's no one to complain to. The reality is it is way harder to get a license to cut hair and to be a beautician. And I'm not, again, trying to shade any negativity on that because I can't cut hair, at all. But I'm just saying, compare that to managing, a multi-million-dollar processing account that this business is their entire livelihood. There's no comparison. I mean, you could take someone off the street and, if they agree to find a processor that'll hire them, they can do it. So,
wow. Well, that is why we wanted to have you on the show to shed light on that. I'm always talking about legitimizing your business. And I think that how your business presents itself, from everything from its imagery to its back end service and how you collect payments, etc., is all part of a greater package, to how business should be presented or whatever, and position themselves for success. So we want to thank you for being on, Trey. We're going to put the number up there one more time for everybody to graph and go ahead and write that down. Number is 469-850-2308. If you are in business and you are seeking a streamlined way to have your payments processed, reduce the cost to do so, and have it produce data that can help you drive decisions in your business, you want to reach out to my man Trey Rush. Thank you again, Trey, for being on. This has been Boss Talk Radio. We will see you next week when we will have Dr. Tiffany Woodis on, opening up our segment for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And she's going to be here to talk to you about her practice and some different health tips, everything from mental health during COVID for women business owners to your physical health. We will see you guys again on next week.